Hey guys, welcome back to Yellowhammer Outdoors. Today, we're going to be talking about budget scopes. Now, a lot of different people have different definitions as far as what a budget scope means. So to clarify, I'm going to be talking about scopes that are within that $250 to $300 range. I think that is what a lot of people would consider a budget scope. Obviously, you can find scopes cheaper than that, and you can find scopes much more expensive than that. But $250 to $300 range is what I'm going to be talking about today. To start off, it kind of depends on what you're looking for. A lot of people don't care about things like parallax adjustment, external turrets, or what they call tactical turrets for adjustment. They don't really care about those kind of features, and a single focal plane scope with just a regular duplex reticle is all that they need. If that's you, then I would say, maybe stick with something like Leupold Rifleman. These can be found very inexpensive, well within that budget that we're talking about. One of the good things about Leupold is it does come with a lifetime warranty. However, this is a 3x9 scope. It doesn't have a whole lot of magnification, and it doesn't have any external turrets. When you need to go make adjustments for this, you have to remove this cap and you have to use some kind of tool to turn that. And it's the same for your windage and for your elevation. That being said, it's a great scope, especially for the price point. It has nice, good, clear glass, and Leupold is a great brand, that everybody knows. This is one of their introductory scopes called the Rifleman series. It's one of their lower end scope, but it's still backed by their lifetime warranty. And of course, as we know, Leupold is made in the USA. If that's important to you, Leupold's a great option. Second, in that second focal plane scope that we're talking about is Nikon. Unfortunately, Nikon no longer makes scopes, but you can still find them on the market, and you can still find them used secondhand in pretty good shape. This particular one is a 4.5 by 14. This is from their Buckmaster series, and this has excellent glass. Nikon is made in the Philippines. It was a Japanese brand, but all their scopes were made in the Philippines, and this is a fantastic scope. Once again, it comes with that regular duplex reticle. The adjustments on this, you still have to remove the caps, but they are hand adjustments, so you don't need a special tool like you do with the Leupold. If you remove these caps, it's very easy to make the adjustments, and it does have kind of those tactical style adjustments. If you can see on here, it has the numbers so that when you turn, you can see exactly what your adjustments are from 1 through 12 MOA. So Nikon, if you can still find them, this is a great option. I have a couple of Nikons that I use, and I really enjoy these scopes. They're great scopes, but like I said, second focal plane. Now, when we talk about focal planes, why is that important? That really becomes important when you have hash marks or you have kind of the measurements built into your reticle. So, you can either get a mil or an MOA reticle scope, and the reason that's important is because as you zoom in or zoom out on your magnification on a target, if you have a second focal plane scope, those hash marks are going to be very different if you're at 4x versus 14x, for example. On a first focal plane scope, your reticle zooms in and out along with your magnification. So that measurement is always on target, whether you're at 4 or 14x. So first, in the first focal plane scopes that we're going to be talking about here is the primary arms. This is the Arc 2 MOA. As you can see, this has a parallax adjustment that is from 10 to 1,000 and infinity yards on here. It has the external turrets that are easily adjustable here. and those once again go from 0 to 12. It's the same for the elevation and the windage. This is a 30 millimeter tube. Both the Leupold and the Nikon are 1-inch tubes. Now, when you look at primary arms, these scopes go for about $250. As far as a first focal plane scope goes, you cannot beat that price point, with all the features that this has. It has an illuminated reticle with 6 settings depending on your daylight conditions. And a lot of times you can find these on sale with a one-piece mount included for that $250 package. You kind of have to be paying attention online and looking for those sales, but you can find it. So when we're talking about first focal plane scopes, primary arms is a great option. Next, we have Vortex. And Vortex also makes first and second focal plane scopes. This is one of their first focal plane scopes. This is from their Diamondback series. This is a Diamondback Tactical 4-16 by 44. So this has a little bit more magnification than the primary arm scope does. And I would say that the glass is a little bit better on the Vortex than it is on the primary arms. However, the primary arm scope for that price point that we're talking about, $250 to $300, this is the more expensive scope compared to the primary arms, and it does not have an illuminated reticle. It still has the external turrets that you can turn, and once again, this one is actually 0 to 15 MOA. And that is both your elevation and your windage goes from 0 to 15 MOA. So you have more room for adjustment on here before you kind of overlap your 0. This once again is a 30 millimeter tube, and the magnification is 4-16 on this, so you get a little more magnification, but like I said, it is not illuminated. So you're paying more for less features, but better glass. Now, not on the table here, I have a Monstrum Tactical and I have a Cabela's Covenant 4. Monstrum Tactical, when you're talking about first focal plane scopes, is probably the cheapest of these options. And I've had a couple of Monstrum Tactical scopes and they shot well, they held 0 very well, and they had great features as far as illuminated reticle, the external turrets, and the Monstrum Tactical you actually pull up and turn. So you don't have to worry about accidentally turning this, getting your scope in and out of the rifle case or anything like that. That's a great feature. One of the things that I did not like about Monstrum Tactical is your adjustments are MOA, however your reticle was mil. So when I'm doing calculations, I know how to use both mil because of military, and I also know how to use MOA because I grew up using MOA hunting with my father. And I prefer using MOA, and I like having my reticle match my turret, so I'm not having to figure out, okay, how much is 2 MOA in mil or anything like that. So that's one feature I don't really like about Monstrum Tactical. There are some people that I have met, out shooting, that they like that setup. They like having a mil reticle and MOA adjustments. Some people prefer that. If you're one of those small groups of people that like that, and you're looking for a budget scope, this might be a good option for you. The other scope that I don't have on the table is the Cabela's Covenant 4. I had this in a 6x24, and it was a fantastic scope. I kind of looked into who made Cabela's, and it was a manufacturer that made scopes for a couple of other well-known brands. It was made in China by the same factory that produced other scopes for other brands. And it was a fantastic scope. It's within that $250, $300 range when you can find them at Cabela's. Now, when we're talking about Cabela scopes, this is the Covenant 4. This is made in China. Cabela's at one time was selling scopes made by Miopta, which is a Czechoslovakian or a Czech company. And those are very, very high-end scopes known for their superior glass. Miopta made glass for other very high-end scope manufacturers, and they kind of broke off and started making their own scopes and tried to get into the game. And Cabela's was one of the companies that was selling Miopta scopes. Unfortunately, it seems like Cabela's is no longer carrying the Miopta brand, and if they are much higher price point than they were when they were first introduced. But if you can find one of the Cabela's Miopta scopes at a very good price point, I would definitely recommend getting it because they are excellent, excellent scopes. That being said, the Covenant series is also a very good scope, and I would highly recommend it. Last on the table, I have the Athlon Argos BTR 6x24 by 50 scope. Now, I included this on here. If you go to the Athlon's website, you will see that the Argos BTR is under their discontinued series. However, you can still find this scope available from a lot of retailers online. MSRP on this on the Athlon's website is over $400. However, street price on this can be from about $250 to $300, which is why I'm including it on this list. Now, all of these scopes I would recommend, and I would say that they're good scopes. You know, you're getting a pretty good bang for your buck with all these scopes. The Athlon Argos, you are getting maximum bang for your buck with this scope. Not only does it have the external turrets, parallax, and 11 illumination settings, but the glass on this is superior to anything on the table. The glass on this is extraordinarily clear. The eye relief on this is great. I think it's somewhere around 3.5 to 4 inches of eye relief. The eye relief is excellent. And not only that, everything on this scope feels like quality. You know, the primary arms, the Vortex scope, they feel like quality scopes, but when compared to the Athlon, there's just something that feels superior about this. It's a really, really great scope. I really like this scope, and I like the features that come with it. One of the things with the Monstrum scope that I really didn't like is when you turned on the illuminated reticle, you had some of that radiation in your glass. So, you know, it wasn't very clear. You would get some of the red around it. And with the primary arms, when you put it on the highest setting, you can get some of that also. With the Athlon, even on the 11 setting, you don't have any of that fuzz around your reticle. It stays perfectly illuminated only on your lines there. It is what I would recommend on this table. If you were looking to spend $250 to $300, I would recommend Googling the Athlon Argos BTR, finding it online because there currently is a sale going on. And you can find this scope for about $250. If you want to include the sunshade, taxes and everything included, you're still under $300 on this Athlon scope. Hands down, this is what I would recommend get. Now, if that sale goes away, they sell out, you can't find it anymore, and you really have to stay under that, you know, $300 budget, I would highly recommend the primary arm scope. The Diamondback Tactical is a phenomenal scope. It has great glass. It has some features that the primary arms scope doesn't. However, I am very, very partial to an illuminated reticle. And for that reason, I kind of prefer my primary arm scope over the Vortex, especially for the price point that we're talking about. I actually have 3 of these scopes. I have one on my 375 Raptor, I have one on my 308, and this one is on my 223. My Diamondback Tactical sits on my 7mm Odd-8, and this is actually going to replace the scope that's currently on my 260 Remington. So, you know, really there's a lot of options when we start talking about budget scopes. Monstrum Tactical, it's kind of where you start off in those first focal plane scopes. If you're gonna go with Monstrum Tactical, they do have different series on there. They have the G1, G2, and G3. I would definitely go with the G3. It is a better built scope, you know, for only $10, $20 more than their other series, but it's a much better scope as far as glass and internals go. Primary Arms is a great scope. You know, everything that you need in a first focal plane scope, it has all of those features, and it has a really low introductory price that most people can't afford. The Cabela scopes is a great series of scopes. I would highly recommend them. Vortex is very popular. A lot of people know and love Vortex. First focal plane, their MOA reticle is extraordinary. It has a lot of features. However, the Athlon Argos, in my opinion, is the best of all the scopes that I've mentioned. And when you're talking about $250 to $300, you cannot beat the quality that went into this scope, the quality of the glass, the features that come with it. It actually comes with these flip up protectors on here. You know, I had to buy that for my primary arms scope. My Vortex scope, I haven't bought any yet, and I still use, you know, these lens covers on here. I really like having the flip up caps, and that comes, you know, that comes with it. I did purchase the sunshade. I like having a sunshade on my long range scopes, and but it was, once again, it was only like $15, $20, I believe. Out the door, this was less than $300, and I would highly recommend it. I am going to post a link to where I purchased this. If you are in the market for a scope and you are wanting to, you know, get something less than $300, something, you know, with high magnification between 6 and 24 zoom, you want parallax, you want these external turrets, illuminated reticle, I would definitely recommend the Athlon Argos. And like I said, I'm gonna post that link here in the description. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Thank you.